So you've probably heard this by now, but the biggest emission from NASCAR 21 ignition is going to be the lack of Camping World Truck Series as well as the Xfinity Grand National Series. It's been pretty common for these two series to be featured in NASCAR games in the past. Heat had them, the EA games had them, even rFactor 2 is like an unlicensed version of the Xfinity series, so it's actually really weird that they're just not here. Now, a lot of fanboys have been saying some really crazy shit in defense of this. I'm going to give you a few examples. Here's one guy saying, would you rather have a good game with one series or a subpar game with all three? Another guy says, this game was built from the ground up. You should be grateful you're even getting a game this year. You could have your trucks and Xfinity at the cost of decent gameplay. Take your pick. Tired of this bullshit crying. A third comment, they're not giving me what I want. Perhaps you should speak to your doctor about your own mental illness. Delusions of grandeur mixed with paranoia are not healthy traits. And I think my favorite, do you not know how hard it is to make a game? Yeah, actually I do. And I can say with certainty that putting cars in rFactor isn't the hard part. So the engine that powers NASCAR 21 Ignition is what's called isiMotor. This is what powers rFactor 2, and early versions or derivatives of it can be found in things like Race 07, Automobilista, Project Cars 2, the original rFactor obviously, and even NASCAR 09. The reason developers use this engine is because it's very modular. Making a vehicle is a matter of filling in text documents and hooking up the 3D model. This is why even sims made on really small budgets like Automobilista have these massive car lists and why there's huge modding communities surrounding all of these games. A couple of buddies in their spare time can get together on Discord and either make a single car or an entire championship of multiple cars, and they can do it relatively quickly and sometimes on par or even surpassing the quality of the base game. Let me show you how simple this is. So this is a NASCAR Craftsman truck from NASCAR Sim Racing. It runs on what you guys know as isiMotor. This is the general car setup file. So this will determine stuff like the mass, the spring rates, where the fuel tank is located, geometry related stuff. This is the tire file. This is your speedway engine, and then this is your super speedway engine. That's it. So a developer would basically go to a NASCAR team or even potentially NASCAR themselves and just ask for as much data as possible to help them fill in the blanks. So like from the truck series, they'd go to Ilmore and get a dyno sheet. They'd get tire test data from Goodyear, which all tire companies have kicking around. Like, that's what they do. Then they'd go to like a mid-pack truck series team and be like, okay, we need you to provide as much as you can from this list and maybe give us a setup sheet too from like a few years ago. And they all have this kicking around. So let's say every one of these entities replies to their emails on the same day and you get all the data at once. We're talking a matter of days before you have something ready to be driven around in game. Not weeks or months, but days. The same goes for AI. The base engine takes care of AI behavior. You don't have to do anything fancy when you're putting a new car into the game. You might have to do like AI grip hints here and there, but because it already matches more or less what the cup cars are capable of, you really can just copy and paste what you did for the cup cars and then just fine tune from there, which you might not even have to. That's why you use rFactor as a base. It's all been done for you. You don't have to spend like days, weeks, or months coding an entirely new racing line for the NASCAR Truck Series. It's just that's not how it works. What you do need to do is create driver profiles for each driver. And once again, they're just text documents. Here's Jack Sprague. These attributes could be filled out in an afternoon by just someone who watched NASCAR and kind of knew who all the drivers were. Like, a lot of you could do this. But apparently doing any of this means development will be derailed and the game will come out subpar. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's so easy to put more cars into the game with this engine that we realistically could have the entire NASCAR ladder and every era of historic car all under one roof. That's why you see this in every other isiMotor game. But just this one time, it'll affect the quality of the game. Yeah, okay, I call bullshit.